Paris, today it is the capital of France, a symbol of romance, the fashion center, tourism, art. But if we erase everything we know and rewind time back 2,000 years, there are no boulevards, bridges, or cathedrals. There is only the river, the wide, cold, unpredictable Seine, and in the middle of it is a small island, the island which today is called Ile de la Cité. This is where it all starts. Celtic silence. Around 250 BC, the Celtic tribe of Parisians settled on the island. They don't build empires. They don't build palaces. They live by the river. They catch fish. They trade. They transport goods across the water. The Seine is their road, their protection, and their source of life. The settlement is small. Wooden huts, earthworks, bonfires around which stories are told. No pumps, no glory. But geography is destiny. Control of the Seine crossing means control of the trade routes between the north and south of Gaul. A small settlement becomes strategically important, and that's what Rome is attracted to. The arrival of Rome, 52 BC. There is a war going on in Gaul. The name of its commander-in-chief is known to every schoolboy, Julius Caesar. His legions are moving fast, organized, ruthlessly. The Parisian settlement is resisting, but there's little chance against Rome. The city is being burned. Lutetia, a Roman city, appears in its place. Stone roads, forum, thermal baths, the amphitheater, aqueducts. Rome brings architecture, law, and system. Lutetia grows on the left bank of the Seine. Life becomes orderly, predictable, Roman, but no empire lasts forever. The fall of order. The 3rd century, the Roman Empire is beginning to crack at the seams. Germanic tribes are crossing borders. Gaul is becoming unsafe. Residents of Lutetia are gradually leaving the open quarters on the left bank and returning to the island, where it is easier to defend themselves. They're building walls. They strengthen bridges. They compress the city to a minimum safe core. The Roman splendor is fading. Lutetia no longer feels like a part of a great power. She survives on her own. And it is at this moment that a new city is born, a new character. Paris, the saint who stopped the fear. The 5th century, the Western Roman Empire is finally falling. Europe is plunging into chaos. And suddenly a name appears that will forever remain in the history of the city. Saint Genevieve, 451 years old. Attila and his Huns are moving towards Gaul. Rumors of destruction spread faster than the army. Parisians are ready to flee, but Genevieve convinces them to stay. Pray, stick together, don't leave the city. According to legend, Attila changes his route and bypasses Paris. Historians are arguing about the reasons, but that's not what's important for the city. It's important that he survived. And for the first time, Paris begins to believe in its own peculiarity. The birth of the capital. The year is 508. King Clovis I of the Franks chooses Paris as his capital. This is a turning point. Now the city is not just a fortified island. This is the center of the kingdom. Christianity is being consolidated as the basis of power. Basilicas are being built. The spiritual core of France is being formed. Paris is starting to grow beyond the island, but growth always attracts a threat. Vikings on the Seine, 9th century, a foggy morning, longships appear on the horizon. Vikings, they climb the Seine, plunder coastal towns, and demand silver. 845, the first major raid. 885, a months-long siege. Bridges become the front line. Several hundred defenders are holding the city against thousands of attackers. Paris pays the ransom, humiliation, losses, but it doesn't fall. Every siege leaves scars. Every siege teaches you to build stronger. A stone aimed at the sky, 12th century. The city is growing. Trade is booming. The population is increasing. And in 1163, construction begins on what will forever change the silhouette of Paris, Notre Dame Cathedral. It's more than a temple. This is an engineering challenge. Pointed arches, flying buttresses, stained glass windows that flood the space with colored light. The construction has been going on for almost 2 centuries. Every generation of Parisians sees forests around the cathedral. Each generation makes its own contribution, and when it is completed, Paris is no longer a provincial city. It is the spiritual center of Europe, city of knowledge. At the same time, an intellectual core is being formed on the left bank. The University of Paris is emerging. The students speak Latin. They argue about God, about human nature, about the law. The Latin Quarter is becoming a place where ideas that define medieval thought are born. Paris is now a city of reason, fortress of the kings. And at the end of the 12th century, King Philip II Augustus built a powerful fortress on the right bank. They call it the Louvre. Today it is a museum. Then it's a defensive tower, a symbol of power. By 1300, Paris was one of the largest cities in Europe, with a population of about 200,000 people. But greatness is always a test, and ahead of him lies one of the worst disasters in history. By the beginning of the 14th century, Paris was a bustling, dense, vibrant city. Narrow streets, markets, guilds, students, priests, merchants. The stone houses are rising higher and higher. Bridges connect the banks of the Seine, but the history of Paris rarely gives a break. Hunger before the storm, the 1310s. Europe is being hit by a series of crop failures. It rains for weeks. Crops are dying, prices are rising. Famine begins in Paris. People are queuing for bread. The stench of waste fills the streets. The city is growing faster than its infrastructure. There is almost no sewage system. Diseases spread quickly, and this is just the beginning. The Black Death. The year is 1348. A disease is coming to Europe that will change everything. The plague. It spreads through trade routes, through the ships, through the rats, through the air, as it seemed to people then. Panic begins in Paris. The bells ring every day as the funerals follow one another. The priests don't have time to perform the rituals. Cemeteries are overflowing. Historians estimate that between a third and half of the city's population is dying. Imagine Paris, where half the houses are empty, where the streets, until recently full of the cries of merchants, stand in silence. A city that is used to growing is suddenly shrinking, but it doesn't disappear. Generation War. While Europe is weakened by the plague, a conflict begins that will last more than 100 years. The 100 Years' War between France and England. Paris is not just a city, he is a symbol of power. Whoever controls Paris claims France. In 1420, the city was under the rule of the British and their allies, the Burgundians. For Parisians, this is humiliation. Foreign troops on the streets, other people's flags over fortresses. The King of France is far away. The city that survived the plague is now living under occupation. The girl who changed the course of history. And then, against the background of despair, a name appears that will become a legend. Joan of Arc. She wasn't born in Paris. She was not a noble. She couldn't read. But in 1429, she persuades the Dauphin Charles to give her an army. She leads the troops to victory at Orléans. Her faith inspires the soldiers. An attempt to liberate Paris in 1429 fails. She is wounded. The city remains under enemy control. But the spirit is changing. France is beginning to believe that victory is possible. Jeanne is captured. They're being judged. He was executed in Rouen in 1431. She's only 19, but her death does not destroy her influence. She becomes a symbol of resistance. And in 1436, Paris was liberated. The city returns to the French crown. Slow recovery. After more than a century of war, Paris is exhausted. The economy is weakened. The population has decreased. Trust in the government has been shaken. But the 15th century brings a gradual recovery. Bridges are being repaired. The trade is coming back. The royal power is being strengthened. Paris is starting to grow again. And with this growth comes a new era, the Renaissance. But before beauty and art flourish, the city will go through another ordeal: religious hatred. By the end of the 15th century, Paris was breathing again. After the plague, after the war, after the occupation, the city has survived, and now it is ready to change. The Renaissance is coming to the north at the beginning of the 16th century. Francis I, a king who is in love with art, ascends to the throne. He admires Italy, Rome, Florence, and he wants France, and therefore Paris, to keep up with them. New forms of architecture are emerging in palaces. Gothic is gradually giving way to the symmetry and harmony of the Renaissance. Francis invites one of the greatest geniuses of mankind, Leonardo da Vinci, to France. Leonardo spends the last years of his life at the French court. Drawings, ideas, and paintings arrive with it. Paris is beginning to feel like a center of cultural power. The old fortress of the Louvre is gradually turning into a royal residence. The future Louvre. The city is becoming more elegant. The courtyard is more refined. Ambitions are higher, but with art comes a split. Religion versus religion, 16th century, the century of the Reformation. Protestant ideas are spreading across Europe, Catholic mobs prey on Protestants in the narrow streets. Houses are being hacked. People are being dragged outside. The death toll goes into the thousands. The Seine carries the bodies away. Paris is once again becoming an arena of blood. The city that built cathedrals and universities is gripped by religious rage. These wounds don't heal quickly. The king who chose the city in 1589, a new monarch, Henry IV, ascended the throne. He was born a Protestant, but he accepts Catholicism for the sake of peace. According to legend, he utters the phrase, "Paris is worth a mass." He understands that in order to rule France, Paris must be returned. The city welcomes him cautiously, but recovery is gradually starting. The Pont Neuf Bridge, the first stone bridge without houses, is being built under him. New squares are being created. The city is starting to get organized. Henry IV strives for stability, but in a few decades, Paris will become the center of Europe's most powerful monarchy. Centralization of power is 17th century. King Louis XIII and his minister Cardinal Richelieu strengthened the power of the crown. In 1635, the French Academy was established, an institution that regulates language and culture. Paris is becoming more than just a capital. He becomes an instrument of power. But the real scale comes with his son, Louis XIV, the Sun King. He has ruled for more than 70 years. Under him, France is the leading power in Europe. The army is strong, the yard is brilliant, art is flourishing. But Louis XIV is afraid of Paris. The city is too independent, too prone to rebellion. In 1682, he moved the court to the Palace of Versailles. The king is moving away from the capital, but Paris remains a cultural center. Salons are filled with philosophers. Fashion is spreading across Europe. French is becoming the language of diplomacy. The city is shining, but discontent is brewing under the glare. The court lives in luxury. The people are cramped and dirty. The gap is widening. And in the 18th century, this gap will explode. The 18th century. Paris is the most influential intellectual center in Europe. Freedom is discussed in salons. Equality. The mind. Philosophers are challenging the monarchy. Voltaire is among them. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Denis Diderot. They write about human rights, on national sovereignty. That power does not come from God, but from society. Ideas spread faster than an army. But in the 1780s, France was on the verge of bankruptcy. Crop failures, rising bread prices, huge debts after the wars. While the court continues to live in luxury, the people are starving. The king, Louis XVI, turns out to be weak and indecisive. His wife, Marie Antoinette, becomes a symbol of isolation from reality. The tension reaches its limit. July 14, 1789. Paris wakes up in alarm. The townspeople are afraid that the king will rally his troops and disperse the National Assembly. The crowds are heading towards the prison fortress, a symbol of royal tyranny. The Bastille. After hours of storming, the gates fall. The fall of the Bastille marks the beginning of the French Revolution. Paris no longer obeys blindly. The city takes its fate into its own hands. Execution of the king. The year is 1792. The monarchy has been abolished. France has been declared a republic. On January 21, 1793, a guillotine was erected on Revolution Square. The crowd is silent. Louis XVI ascends the scaffold. A moment later, the French monarchy ceases to exist. Paris becomes the capital of the revolution, but the revolution doesn't stop. Terror, 1793 to 1794 years. Power is passing to the radicals, led by Maximilien Robespierre. Mass terror begins under the slogans of freedom. Anyone can fall under suspicion. The guillotine is opened daily. Marie Antoinette herself is among those executed, and later Robespierre. The revolution devours its children. Paris lives in fear. Neighbors inform on each other. Newspapers publish lists of enemies of the people. Squares become arenas of executions. But chaos can't last forever. The man who will put things in order. In 1799, a figure appears who will change everything. Napoleon Bonaparte, a young general, a hero of military campaigns. He seizes power in a coup. The revolution is officially ending. The era of consulship begins and then the empire. In 1804, Napoleon crowned himself emperor at Notre Dame Cathedral. It's not the Pope who crowns him. He does it himself. Paris once again becomes the center of power. Imperial Paris under Napoleon, the city is rebuilt. New streets are created. Monumental buildings are erected. The Arc de Triomphe is conceived as a symbol of military glory. Paris is meant to look like the capital of an empire. But Napoleon's ambitions lead France into endless wars. Europe unites against him. In 1814, the Allied forces enter Paris. The empire collapses. The city experiences another regime change. A cycle that repeats itself, the monarchy returns. Then another revolution, 1830, then another, 1848. 19th century Paris is a city of barricades. Narrow medieval streets become ideal for uprisings. Every generation builds barricades. Every generation demands change. And then a man appears who decides to change the very structure of the city. He will destroy old Paris to prevent new revolutions and create the Paris we know today. 19th century. Paris is tired of revolutions. Narrow medieval streets are labyrinths, ideal for barricades. Every uprising turns the city center into a battlefield. Emperor Napoleon III understands, if you change the city itself, you can change politics. He commissions Prefect Georges-Eugène Haussmann with a radical restructuring of the capital. Haussmannization. From 1853, large-scale reconstruction begins. Entire neighborhoods are demolished. Narrow, dark streets disappear. Wide, straight boulevards appear. Trees line the avenues. A unified architectural style of facades. Modern sewerage systems. New parks. Paris becomes brighter, more spacious, more organized. But behind the beauty lies political calculation. It's harder to build barricades on wide boulevards. The army can move quickly. The city becomes an instrument of control and simultaneously a symbol of modernization. This is the Paris we recognize today. A tower that was supposed to be temporary, 1889. World's Fair. To commemorate the centenary of the revolution, a metal structure over 300 meters tall is built. Many call it an eyesore. Writers demand its demolition after the fair. Its creator is engineer Gustave Eiffel. The structure is named the Eiffel Tower. It was supposed to stand for 20 years, but it remains forever. Over time, it becomes the main symbol of Paris. A city built of stone for centuries embraces metal as a new beauty. World War I, 1914. Germany advances on France. The front approaches Paris. The city prepares for evacuation. The government abandons the capital, but the French army halts the advance at the Marne. Paris is saved. It becomes a center of the rear, hospitals, factories, military headquarters. The war ends in 1918. France is among the victors, but the losses are enormous. Between the wars, the era of art, 1920s. Paris once again becomes the cultural capital of the world. Artists, writers, and musicians from all over the world flock here. Pablo Picasso, Ernest Hemingway, Salvador Dali. The cafes of Montparnasse and Montmartre become laboratories for new ideas. Paris is freedom, experimentation, avant-garde. But Europe is heading toward war again. Occupation 1940. German troops enter the city. Paris is declared an open city to avoid destruction. Swastika flags line the streets. The Eiffel Tower is under the control of the occupiers. For 4 years, the city lives under Nazi Germany. The resistance operates secretly. Leaflets, sabotage, underground networks. Paris endures but does not lose heart. Liberation, August 1944. Allied troops approach. An uprising begins in the city. On August 19th, Parisians build barricades again. On August 25th, Paris is liberated. A triumphal march led by Charles de Gaulle marches through the streets. He speaks of Paris liberating itself. The city has survived another occupation and survived again. Modern Paris. After the war, a new era begins. Suburbs are being built. The skyscrapers of La Défense appear. Modern museums and cultural centers are being created. In 1968, students take to the streets again. The May protests shake France. Paris remains a city of debate, ideas, and freedom. Today it is a metropolis with millions of inhabitants. A city of fashion, a city of art, a city of politics, a city of tourism. It has seen kings and revolutionaries, emperors and philosophers, occupiers and liberators. It has burned, it has starved, it has rebelled, but it has never disappeared. Paris is not only the Eiffel Tower, not only the Louvre, not only Notre Dame Cathedral. It is a city that experiences death again and again, and each time comes back stronger. Paris is a city that never dies.